Some men are born into war, others run from it, but a rare few step into it willingly, not because they want glory, not because they seek revenge, but because something inside them refuses to bow to the injustice of their era. In the Vietnam War, a conflict fought in the mud, in the jungles, in the villages, and high above the clouds, one man rose from a world that didn't belong to pilots, soldiers, or legends. A world made of rice fields, river currents, and water buffalo shadows. His name was Nguyen Van Bảy, a man who didn't even see an airplane until he was nearly grown, yet would become a fearless MiG-17 ace, the kind of pilot American crews gave warnings about. If he's up there, be careful. That one fights like he has nothing to lose, but the truth is, he had everything to lose. His home, his family, his land, his people. And when you take everything from a man, you create someone dangerous, dangerous enough to face the world's most advanced jets with a machine older than the pilots flying it. Dangerous enough to survive dogfights where death circled closer than oxygen. Dangerous enough to carve his name into the sky, and never ask for anything in return. This is the real story of the rice farmer who became a legend in the clouds. If the courage of Nguyen Van Bảy inspired you today, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more untold war stories. Your support helps keep these forgotten heroes alive. And tell me in the comments who you want to hear about next, because the world is still full of stories waiting to be told. The Mekong Delta doesn't create soft people. It creates survivors, men and women who know how to live with floods, droughts, storms, and the unpredictable hunger of nature. For young Nguyen Van Bảy, life was simple but hard. Wake before sunrise, work the fields until your back aches. Eat whatever the earth gives, repeat tomorrow. During the French colonial era, poverty wasn't just a condition. It was a prison, and Bảy saw, from a young age, that some people lived free, while others lived under boots. He watched French soldiers patrol the roads. He saw taxes collected from families already starving. He watched neighbors punished for resisting. Every injustice became a seed in his heart, a seed that would grow into resistance. By his late teens, he joined the revolution. Not as a pilot, not as some elite warrior, but as a foot soldier with a rifle older than himself. He fought in the First Indochina War, running ambushes, carrying supplies, and learning what death looked like up close. There was no sign, none, that he would one day touch the sky. But destiny doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes it whispers, and Bảy listened. When the revolution saw a need for pilots, they didn't look for the most educated men. They looked for men who didn't break under pressure. Men who kept standing, even when the world tried to crush them. Someone recommended Bảy. A commander said, "He learns fast, he has courage. Send him." And so the rice farmer, who had never even been inside a cockpit, was chosen for elite training. Training in China was brutal beyond imagination. Students were expected to understand advanced aerodynamics. Many had formal education, Bảy had none. Every night, he forced himself to memorize engine diagrams by candlelight. He failed, then tried again, he failed again, and tried harder. What he lacked in textbooks, he replaced with instinct. Flying wasn't just skill to him, it was survival. He trained in the MiG-17, an aircraft already considered outdated by global standards. The Americans had Phantoms loaded with radar, missiles, and advanced targeting. But Soviet advisors taught the trainees one thing: if the enemy is stronger, get closer. Inside the circle, technology is useless. Bảy took this lesson into his bones. He became a master of close-range aerial combat. He turned the MiG-17 into an extension of his own reflexes. While other trainees hesitated during high G turns, Bảy pushed harder until the aircraft shook, until the world blurred. When he finally returned to Vietnam as a pilot, he wasn't the same man, he wasn't the farmer. He wasn't the foot soldier, he was something new, something dangerous. April 1966, the sky trembled with the presence of American F-105 Thunderchiefs, heavy, fast, confident. Their pilots were experienced, most of them trained in modern air combat theory. They believed the MiG-17 was nothing more than an annoyance. They were wrong. Bảy took off from Noi by airbase with his squadron. The air was thick with humidity. Clouds were low, visibility poor, perfect conditions for an ambush. He flew close to the jungle canopy. The roar of his engine blended with the trees, masking his approach. As the F-105S lined up for a bombing run, Belay climbed, slow at first, then faster, the nose of the MiG slicing through the mist like a blade. At 900 meters, he saw it, a Thunderchief drifting slightly out of formation. Just one mistake, that's all he needed. He pushed the throttle, the MiG trembled, the guns aligned, he fired. The shells hit in a perfect arc, punching through the aircraft's fuselage. A fireball erupted in the sky, black smoke twisting upward like a serpent. American pilots shouted over radio, "Bandit, MiG, where the hell did he come from?" The answer was simple, from below, from nowhere. From the shadows of a sky he was learning to dominate. The Americans quickly learned something unnerving. Nguyen Van Belay didn't fight like a typical pilot. He didn't retreat when outnumbered. He didn't play safe. He hunted aggressively, decisively. He became known for 3 terrifying habits. 1. He forced close-range engagements where American missiles couldn't lock onto him. 2. He intentionally flew low, drawing Phantoms into dangerous, tight turns the MiG-17 could handle but the heavier U.S. jets struggled with. 3. He never hesitated, not once, not ever. One mission over Hatay became legendary. A young Vietnamese pilot was being chased by 2 Phantoms. He was seconds from death. Belay saw the situation. He didn't think, he acted. He dove into the fight from above, nearly stalling his MiG as he descended too quickly. He forced one Phantom to break away, then engaged the second in a high-speed turning battle. American pilots were trained for maneuver combat, but Belay was made for it. At the perfect moment, the F-4 overshot. A single burst from Belay's cannons tore into it. The jet spiraled down, a trail of flames marking its descent. The rescued pilot later said, "He came from nowhere, a shadow. A ghost with wings." September 1967. A massive U.S. bombing raid approached Hanoi, a formation of dozens of aircraft moving in tight coordination. F-4 South, F-105s, escorts, bombers. A sky full of metal and death, Vietnam scrambled every available MiG. Among them, Belay. The battle that followed lasted nearly an hour, an eternity in air combat time. Jet engines roared like thunder. Clouds lit up with explosions. Missiles streaked in white arcs. Flak burst in black blossoms that shook the sky. Belay didn't wait for orders. He took initiative, climbing into the heart of the formation, directly into the center of the American air armada. It was suicidal. And yet, it was genius. At that range, jammed radar and smoke made American missiles unreliable. And at close range, the agile MiG-17 could twist tighter than anything the U.S. had. Inside the chaos, he spotted a Phantom trying to climb away. He followed, pushing the MiG to the edge of its limits. Every warning light in the cockpit flashed. The aircraft groaned. As they reached the clouds, the Phantom pilot made a critical mistake. He banked too wide. Belay fired. The Phantom disintegrated. But debris tore into Belay's aircraft. His cockpit filled with smoke. He was wounded, consciousness slipping, the engine coughing. He could have ejected. He should have. But he didn't. He brought the dying aircraft back to base, crashed it safely, then climbed out with blood on his face and asked, "Are my comrades safe?" That sentence alone tells you the type of man he was. By the end of his service, Belay had engaged in more than 20 dogfights, scored 7 confirmed kills, and earned a reputation as one of the fiercest ace pilots in Vietnam's history. He could have stayed in the military. He could have climbed ranks, lived comfortably, become a symbol. Instead, he returned home. Back to the rice fields, back to the simple life. Back to the mud that raised him and the people who shaped him. He said many times, "I only borrowed the sky. The earth is where I belong." He lived quietly until his passing in 2019, a hero who never called himself one. His story remains one of the greatest examples of courage, discipline, instinct, and humility in aviation history. A farmer who became an ace. A man who fought giants in the sky with the heart of a warrior and the soul of a peasant. And though he is gone, every time a MiG-17 roars through a museum hangar, every time a pilot speaks of old dogfights, every time Vietnam honors its legends, his name lives again.